welcome. We've got a great show for you today. I'm David. I'm here with Keith and BJ, our producer of Beehive Broadcast. We are all in on blue. Are you? We had an incredible game at Iowa State, the tale of two halves.
It was a roller coaster game.
It was absolutely.
Yeah. I started off that game thinking, oh no, we're in way over our head. Then in the middle of the game, I was like, okay, maybe we're going to have kind of a close game, nail biter game again. And then at the end of the game, I was like, we're the best team ever.
What was that? How did that happen? How did we go from, they were walking all over us.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop them. We couldn't get any offense rolling. Our running game that I think everybody predicted that's where we were going to have success, was running on them. Mm-hmm. We had nothing for a quarter, really the first half of that game.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, what happened? What led to that turnaround?
Well, I don't know. From playing, sometimes you get hit quick with a quick strike, which they did. First play of the game, they score a touchdown. I think it definitely changes a little bit, right? All of a sudden you're on your heels, you're nervous, you're scared, and you're thinking, man, are we in over our heads? And you're just trying to get it under control. I think once we realized and got our bearings straight and took a little momentum, all of a sudden we were ready to go. But it just took us a little bit. But yeah, mid second quarter, I was like in panic mode.
It pretty much took 2 quarters.
Yeah.
Was some of that the letdown after the high energy win in our rivalry against Utah? Or was it more just bad game planning? We prepared for the wrong team, or not enough time maybe to prepare?
I do think it seemed kind of like it was a different Iowa State team than they had been their last 2 games. And they had Hansen back, and I don't know, maybe it was just like we were prepared for a different game plan, and suddenly they were a different team. And then of course, LJ going out. We had to come up with a lot of different things kind of on the fly. And that's what it seemed to be like. Once we made those adjustments, we were a different team.
I think they kind of called our bluff.
Yeah.
I think they kind of anticipated that, okay, they are going to see based upon the first 6 games of work from Iowa State. And they've seen those weak spots where teams were running over Iowa State. So they're going to come in here for the run. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but it seemed coming into that game that their coaches said, hey, we're going to shock BYU. We're going to focus on stopping the run.
Yeah.
Because we know they're going to be running against us. If that worked,
well, it did.
It clearly something worked.
It worked with LJ Martin, and that wasn't the turnaround. It wasn't that we got our run game going. We were 103 yards rushing the entire game, which is not very balanced compared to where we've been.
Yeah. And most of those were from Bear too.
Yeah. 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 49 of them were from Bear of 103. So
yeah, not a strong day on our rushing game for BYU,
but such a strong day for Bear.
Oh my goodness.
It seemed like once we opened up the playbook to him and said, all right, our only way to win this game is passing. He had quite a game.
To me, in that game, Bear went from being a very impressive true freshman who was making, leaps and bounds as a true freshman above and beyond what anyone had anticipated. Mm-hmm. In fact, maybe one of the best true freshman progression from game to game that we've seen in a number of years in college football. In this game, he looked impressive across the board. It wouldn't matter if he was a junior, senior, having played. He was awfully impressive in that game. His ability to read, pass, something we hadn't seen from him. He relied so heavily on his legs. We've seen some great passes and great quarterback play, but that passing game and his ability to pick them apart was impressive.
I also liked his ability to run. I know this wasn't his strongest running game, but it feels like, if you think back to the earlier in the season, he would not know when to run. And sometimes I think he would run in panic. There were even plays where he'd almost like bounce around in the pocket looking to run and couldn't figure it out. And I feel like he has figured that out, and he's very decisive when he runs. And I really liked, even though he had some room, he took a slide.
That's what I was
for the first time ever.
Yeah.
It may not have been his
smart.
best running game, but it was his best sliding game. By far.
No, I think it was his best running game because he was, I think, much more calculated in his runs, and he wasn't afraid to throw that ball down the field. And it makes him even more dangerous as a quarterback, knowing when to run and when to throw and confidence in your throw. So I think we just saw even another step up from Bear.
Well, I was glad you mentioned the slide. I was glad to see him slide, but I'm wondering, I mean, here's a guy who is like, man, he never slides. He needs to slide sometimes. All of a sudden, it's like you could have got another 15, 20 yards there before you needed to slide. Was that just because of where we were in the game? And maybe coaches said, just play it safe.
That's my guess. I think if he had 5 more yards to go for the first down, we would not have seen a slide from Bear. But I thought it was a smart slide. We had the first down. We were moving, 2 guys coming in. It's, probably a really smart slide.
And good to know that he knows how to slide.
He can. And not only, though, to go off of what you're saying, was he running, but I felt like he was running to extend plays. Like, I feel like that's what first started opening up the passing game, because when they were beating us every time on the line and just getting to him, the first couple of times when he started to roll out was the first time that we really started seeing those passing attempts be successful. And so him rolling out right or left and extending the play with enough time for his receivers to get open really seemed to be what kind of, I guess, initiated our passing offense being successful.
Yeah.
So not only running down the field, but running just to extend the time for his receivers.
And I think not only to extend the time, but for me, I was impressed. If there was any weak point in Bears passing game previously, it was when he was on the run. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to say his arm's weak, but he's a true freshman. It's not the arm strength that we've seen, like from Retzlaff last year. And so when he's on the run, his throws tended to be a little bit off. That's when we saw some bad throws, some interceptions. Yeah. In this game, he really picked that up. Mm-hmm. He had some very accurate throws on the run.
Still a couple, if I remember, just a little behind, to not put on too much of a blue goggle. Right. There were some that were behind when he's on the run.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it's a step up from where he's been. So great job, Bear.
Well, and I think he is now, there's 3 true freshman quarterbacks that have been 8-0, and the others being Jalen Hurts and
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But Trevor Lawrence came in the 5th game of the season. So he didn't start until the 5th game of the season. Then he went 8-0 after that. But yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is the only one that came in first game at the beginning of the season and has been able to go 8-0. I mean, that's pretty elite company.
Pretty impressive. That's good company to be part of, at least in college football.
Well, and it backs up what we all have felt also is we have a legit team. When we were getting ready for this season, before we knew that Retzlaff was going to be not our quarterback, we all felt like, hey, we have a great team and we have a really good quarterback. And I think that Bear has stepped into that role very well, but it shows, we have a great team around Bear that's helping the entire way.
We asked this question last week of Bear or Retzlaff, which one's been better? And I think each week Bear makes a stronger and stronger case that maybe we've improved at quarterback from last year.
And I still like Retzlaff. I think he's a very, very good quarterback, but I think it goes back to the progress from game to game that Bear is making and the ceiling with Bear.
It feels like a higher ceiling.
Yeah, seems to be much higher. Yeah. So we talked about the offense and what we saw, the difference first half to second half. What were the adjustments that were made, particularly on defense, that made such a difference? Because it looked like Iowa State wasn't the same team. And obviously a lot of that, if not all of it, had to do with our defensive play. what did we notice that was different?
Yeah, I felt like we were getting more pressure, which makes a big difference, right? It's, as we've talked about, you can't cover those receivers for very long. It's a tough thing, but
not unless they're you.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, we've established
Not everybody can be key.
Not everybody can cover for, what was it, 13 seconds?
No. I said 6 seconds, which is about all you can really do. But I felt like we got more pressure. And I think our DBs definitely stepped up their game. I thought we had, other than right at the beginning, I think it was a really good game by the DBs.
Yeah.
Yeah, our defensive backfield's been impressive, and our safeties, I think in particular, really stepped up. I mean, our corners have been great too, but our safeties, their ability to come over the top. I mean, their plays on the ball. I mean, that's where we're getting a lot of our interceptions.
Yeah,
is our safeties coming over out of off of the zone, reading it, and breaking on the ball at just the right time.
Well, except for Satawala is not a safety, but Satawala's interception was, I think it was one of my favorite interceptions. When you watch that, you see those type every once in a while, one of those passes out in the flats and you get somebody that jumps it, a corner jumps that and picks it. But that wasn't even just a clean pick. He was right there with the guy. He kind of had it in an arm and one hands it and pulls it out. Anyway, and
it was coming in hot too.
Yeah.
It was not a slow pass that he was holding on to.
Yeah. And that made a big difference in that game. Maybe we're not onto this, but the other thing for me that made a big difference was that special teams getting kind of lucky, right?
Yeah, but I actually heard that they pointed out that Iowa State players had not been paying attention to where the ball was, and they had encouraged them to try and bump them into the ball.
Which you could see, the BYU gunner was there, engaged, still pushing him that way, all the way.
And he was looking.
Well, Coach
as soon as he hit it, he's pointing and yelling like,
Coach
"Hey!"
Papinga told them, in advance, and that's probably what you were getting to. That he had told them, "Hey, there's an opportunity against this team to get them to bump into that ball." So I think they were looking for it. I mean, that was perfectly.
He was trying to do it, and I mean, somewhat luck, but also like if you're being coached to do that, I mean, our staff is finding every little advantage they can. It feels like, and great coaching on that to have that happen.
Right. Well, there was that, and we score soon after that, and then the pick six. Right. So all of a sudden,
the game,
a game that was extremely close. All of a sudden, kind of score wise, looked like a blowout, which it never really was. It was a good game, and you look at the stats of that game, and
we lost on everything. Basically, it was very even on passing yards. Yeah, they did out pass us. I think it was like 311 to 307. But their rushing, they outrushed us by a lot. So, it really was time of possession. They won.
Yeah.
And it was like that against Utah too. Like Utah had us beat in yards and rushing, I think, and time of possession, but we're just finding ways to win the game. And I think a lot of it, which David likes to deny impacts the game, is winning the turnover battle.
Oh no, it absolutely affects the game.
Okay.
I still like to judge a game plan on we're going to get turnovers.
But if we're getting turnovers every week, I think we can
we got to try to create turnovers.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we just can't count on turnovers. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's something that you hear Kalani talk about that makes me wonder, because, it's not part of the game, but he talks about this brotherhood. And he talks about how in this brotherhood, like it's one of his biggest jobs is trying to keep other players from getting on the field to celebrate with their teammates. Right. And I think, okay, what is it that is leading us to wins, even though we're losing in almost every stat category, in games like this last one and games against Utah? Is it part of this brotherhood? Does that have a real effect on a game, or is that more of just something that's fun to talk about?
I don't think there's any doubt. I think it has a huge effect. In fact, when you are, the last 21 games, you've won 19. We're 19-2 over our last 21 games. there's a lot of people out there talking about, oh yeah, well, BYU gets lucky in these close games. There's no luck involved
19 times.
in going 19-2.
Yeah.
Right. You're beyond that point of luck. They're creating their luck. And I think it has to do with their ability to pull together and the ability to trust their teammates. Because when you have that kind of magic happening, that unity that means that you're pulling together, that means that you're trusting. You hear Kalani talking about, everybody doing their 1/11th when they're out on the field. Mm-hmm. That is so important in the ability to adjust and come back. Because what's more common when teams are down, when teams are falling apart, mistakes are happening, is you start to point the finger. Why they're doing this, they're doing that.
Yeah.
And then you have guys that start to get desperate and feel like they've got to be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, everything falls apart, because all of a sudden guy that is out of his lane because he's trying to be a hero over here and make a great play. And suddenly, the play breaks apart.
You can do more when you're doing it for a brotherhood. So this isn't football, but I ran track in high school, and I did the open 400 and I did the 4x400. And there was never a time that my 4x400 time wasn't way faster. And every single person on that team had a faster time, because you're not just running for yourself, right? When you're tired, when you're doing stuff, it's easy to just say, well, if I'm second place or my time's not quite as good, it's okay. But when you're running for 3 other guys on that team, you run harder. You just do. And I think that's what's going on, is there's such a brotherhood that they're doing it. They're playing for each other, not just for myself or for the offense, right? They're just playing as a whole team.
And I think that carries on though other levels, even beyond just it's for my teammates, for my coaches. It's also for the fans. When you feel that alignment, that excitement, there's no doubt. I hear time and time again, players, coaches saying, oh, we've got the greatest fans in the world. I'm doing it for the fans. We were out here. We want to, right? They're a part of that success too. And when you have that happening, and then that alignment that happens with the university and the university goals, and then even a greater mission beyond that, this idea that, that Kalani is instilling in each of those young men out there, that we are a unit that has a greater cause. We're creating greater men, mm-hmm. right? We're creating men who will go out and make a difference in the world. Beyond that, we're an example to this student body, and we're an example to the world. We're an example that football, as rough and violent of a game as it is, can still be rough and violent and be done with those principles of love. And we can be grateful and be friends with Utah, as much as sometimes we hate to say that, right? That kind of mission, when that comes together and you've got that chemistry, I think it has everything to do. I mean, there's great game planning, there's preparation.
And the whole mantra, right? Obviously. This year, Kalani's repeated it 1,000,000 times, stay humble, stay hungry, and I think that's kind of the attitude we're seeing.
And loving, what's the other one?
Loving basketball.
Loving basketball. Anyway, love and integrity. No,
but speaking, you know what I'm saying. But also same general idea, I guess. Like every great sports move, everything like that. It is rarely is it suddenly they change the game plan or their team gets so much better. But it almost always is the team comes together over a common goal or a person, or they unite in some way. And that's what elevates them into a great team, but beyond a great team, into a great life lesson and a great story.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on and discuss some more key plays to the game, if you're looking to make some key plays in your life, especially if you're in your 20s, or if you want to be in your 20s, please check out 20-something, also Beehive broadcast podcast produced by Beehive Broadcast and BJ. with Olivia. She's amazing, and you're going to want to check that out. I think that releases. When does that?
November
hit?
4th.
November 4th.
Yep. So it's coming up here.
So check that out. Olivia's amazing, passionate, fun. You're going to love it. And let's move on. What are some other? We talked about a couple keys to the key plays in the game. What were some other big plays that stood out that made a difference in that game?
I loved Kingston's catch
in the back of the end zone.
No, in the front of the end zone. The one.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the back of the end zone too.
I liked them both.
But that one,
any catch in the end zone is one of my favorite catches.
That one that was probably about the, 3-yard line, in front of the guy pulled that. Yeah, that was a great catch, and a catch that I think took a lot of concentration. Some of them are just catches are easy. It's open. You expect a player to make it. That one with the DB right there, I thought was particularly.
What about key
catch.
defensive plays?
Well, I just want to say it's cool seeing both Kingston and Chase step up. I mean, this is their 4th game with 100 yards each plus, and that's just awesome to see. And they are making it when they have to. They're Chase's little toe tap drag that he kept it in. It's just awesome. Yeah, that was also quite a catch.
It was great to see Tiger Bachmeyer as well
get
involved there. And you could see on one of those plays, they did a close up of Bear right after it. And you could just see Bear was just so lit up with excitement that his brother caught that pass. So,
And while we're on the receiver topic, I think Carson Ryan had a great game. His receiving yards weren't that great, but I felt like his blocking and a lot of things he did were great.
He's starting the last couple games get more involved, which I think is going to be key, particularly, and we'll talk more about this, but going into Texas Tech.
And speaking of, I think we're also getting JoJo back for the Texas Tech game.
Supposedly,
is what it seems like. Yeah.
Supposedly, reports are we'll have JoJo back.
So that'll be great too, because 4 people that are kind of taking pressure off of each other, we're going to see a lot more open receivers. I think.
And I would like to see them get Cody Hagan more involved.
Yeah.
Cody Hagan seems to, sometimes it's hard to see unless you're at the game. But Cody Hagan seems to get open an awful lot. He seems to run, not only is he fast, seems to run great routes and just knows how to get open. And while he's in the rotation, he's not keyed in on very much. I think he's probably the fourth check down or something more often than not. But it seems like he's open quite a bit.
Great problem to have. I think we have some good depth at receiver. And it's hard to take away catches from Kingston and Chase Roberts right now. But I love having this depth at receiver.
It looks like we're going to really need that in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Okay. We'll get into that more. What about key defensive plays? The sacks. Sacks to me, I think we had what? Do we have 3 sacks?
I think we had 4 sacks.
4 sacks, but 3 in the second half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was key.
Yeah.
We needed to get that pressure on them, especially after what they were doing that first half, to get that pressure in the backfield. I think that really kind of surprised me, but how much it seemed to rattle Rocco Beck.
Yeah. It felt like not only the sacks and then the 2 picks, he seemed scared after that to try and force it into tight windows or whatever. He was taking a lot more time and throwing it away a lot more. So it felt like once that pressure came and those 2 picks came, he was a different quarterback at the end of the game than he was at the beginning of the game.
Well, and our defensive backs, we've mentioned them already, but there were a number of times that he had time to pass the ball and there just wasn't anything. Mm-hmm. That's I've heard that referred to as a what's
coverage sack.
A coverage sack. Thank you.
Yeah. Keith is really familiar with those. Yeah. Every
lockdown, grab the seatbelt. No, I thought Evan Johnson. We haven't really mentioned him this season. We've talked about a lot of defensive standouts, but I thought this was an amazing game from him.
No question.
He covered well and really. I mean, not that there weren't mistakes. There's always something, but some key tackles. He had 6 tackles, all of them solo tackles. So, that tells you right there. I haven't seen
he's a lockdown man receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, DB corner, probably our best. I don't think there's any question. You know, when there aren't very many targets to receivers that he's covering.
Yeah,
that are successful.
It's nice that we have so many solid guys. It feels like at every position there's like, oh, that guy's a dog. That guy's a dog.
Well, and some depth, and so we have now Jack Kelly, right, was in a sling afterward. I haven't heard a report on him yet. We've also got, LJ's out. Azera, it sounds like, right? We got JoJo coming back. What if we can't get Papinga back? Or not Papinga. I'm just going way back in time. Jack Kelly, Kelly Papinga, Jack. If we don't have Jack Kelly and LJ back, how are we going to fare? Maybe jumping ahead a little bit. We're not doing our. Well, maybe we are at this point. How are we going to fare against Texas Tech without them? Or do you think they're coming back?
Well, the good thing is we got a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Having a bye week in there, this is a great time to get.
Feels like the perfect time for a bye week.
Yeah. Do we know what's going on with LJ?
I don't know.
No.
What I heard the commentator say was he was
shoulder was a little
there was questionable whether he should come back or not. That they said he could probably come back if they needed him. And then they decided, well, let's just take an x-ray, and then they ruled him out, which to me is concerning because usually when you see something on an x-ray, it's a little bit more serious than.
But also at the same time, we then saw him walking around like with no sling or anything like it.
It wasn't his leg. He wasn't doing.
No. But like, there was nothing.
He wasn't doing handstands.
Nothing rash.
Yeah.
And I just feel like
he looked.
If there's an X-ray is what's ruling you out, then you probably are wrapped or have ice on or something. Like I don't know.
LJ can still run.
Yeah, I don't think anything was broken or torn, most likely.
I wonder if they thought maybe like AC joint type thing, and maybe it was actually a dislocation where it's a little bit more where they decided, hey, maybe we don't want to, because if it pops out more,
it can be a lot worse.
Yeah.
We'll probably hear more tomorrow.
I would bet we actually don't. Because I think they don't want to release.
To do a review.
Yeah, we don't have
another week.
Keep Texas Tech not knowing. Yeah. That would be. I don't think we hear anything unless it's like, oh, he's done for the rest of the season. That'd be the only reason I think you hear anything. Because why not keep Texas Tech
until we have to?
Yeah,
say
until we have to report. Yeah.
I think that you made a good point with guys being out.
Thank you.
I do feel like it wasn't that good of a point. Don't worry.
It was fine, but it's reality we're all dealing with.
I think the depth at running back right now seems a little bit more concerning.
Yeah.
I think LJ being out for this next game would be a killer. I think Jack Kelly, as much as, he's a great player. I love him. And I think he's kind of the heart of our defense. I think we have more depth there.
Enough depth.
So that's what it feels like to me.
I would agree. It feels like running back is our scariest position and kind of has been all year. Like, we have LJ, but outside of that, just with injuries and everything,
I still think we have a lot of depth, a lot of capability, but nobody with the experience.
Yeah, we just haven't seen it yet.
Right, and the comfort level, the ability it seems like LJ's ability to read those offensive tackles and read those holes and follow his blockers is a little bit better than, some of these guys just don't have the experience.
And it felt like too, and maybe not, and now it's not as valuable anymore as Bear's gotten kind of his feet more under him, but it felt like Bear kind of often looked to LJ on, help me with this. What am I seeing here? And he's not going to get that the same way from Rex, for example.
When you're a 3rd and 3 and it's likely a run and you've got LJ in there who very rarely is not going to get you that 3.
Right.
And you have
Unless
Bear.
it's in the first half against Iowa State.
Well, okay. But then you also have Bear in there, right? It makes a big difference being able to key on one guy and say, well, if they're going to run it, it will be Bear, not having LJ, right? So I think it's a big deal and a big concern. So hopefully it doesn't.
Hopefully he's back.
But I did want to say, I don't know if we're going to move on to Iowa State topic, but one of my unsung heroes of the last 2 weeks, I think, is RG3. Can I tell you how much shout out to RG3?
BYU. It's awesome.
I love listening. I think he brings so much, excitement back there. Great commentary.
Cheeks.
Like, I'm telling you, I would love to have him announce every single game.
Yeah.
So shout out to RG3. It makes a much better game.
Friend of the show.
Much better game. So.
I know he is a friend of the show. I haven't seen him. I don't know if he's a subscriber yet or not, but he's definitely a friend of the show. Speaking of that, before we move on to our next segment, we're filled with gratitude, both after that Utah win, but there's just small things. I mean, one of the things that we noticed earlier that we're especially grateful for is you probably noticed we all have full heads of hair. I mean, that's a rarity. But that gratitude, if you want to notice the small things in life and count your blessings, then you really need to check out The Scriptures Are Real. That is our sponsor for this hour. The Scriptures Are Real with Dr. Kerry Muhlestein. But as you delve into the Scriptures more, particularly if you watch his podcast, you'll become more appreciative of the blessings around you, whether you have a full head of hair or not. So we're grateful.
There might be,
and we're grateful for those who who are subscribers watching the show today that maybe don't have a full head of hair. You've got your own gifts. So
there might be some people who don't have a full head of hair that think that is their blessing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there have been studies that have shown that women are most attracted to bald men. So, I'm grateful for my.
They have a brother. I have an uncle that brings up these studies quite a bit.
Yes, we have the two of us have 2 other brothers who are both younger than us who do not have full heads of hair. So we're grateful for them as well.
Well, in fact, so our brother Brad, while we're on the subject, he's got that BYU.
The BYU bug. Yep.
It looks like a helmet, really is what it looks
painted like a BYU helmet.
Yeah. And he went out to the Iowa State game and they got the horn that's the BYU fight song, and he was driving around, and so you'll see his bald head is, I guess, the point.
And if you're watching, if you would please, if you have really cool something you do, something that, or someone that does something like that's really unique, maybe that you do, maybe you just typed up, screaming, yelling, whatever it is, send those pictures, videos. We would love to highlight you on our channel. That would be awesome.
Become part of the All in Blue family.
Be a part of the All in Blue family. Absolutely.
Yep.